Indians tend to use the word desi quite a bit, and for us desi is about home and something related to home or the homeland and bringing it back here.
The mosaic skill comes from Byzantine, comes from Roman, from Greek.
It actually isn't just a Western art form, it is coming from the East and the West. So it's a shorthand, it's a shortcut to a style, a vibrancy, about joy, and that's why I wanted to do a mosaic related to dance and music and that kind of desi celebration. So I just started looking at colour combinations and figuring out what kind of colours I'd like to see in a dress, you know, and what kind of colour clashes I could have, because having colour clashes sometimes makes the colours dance, you know. I'm making my own language, I'm creating my own visual dictionary of how I cut, how I place things together, and it is a way of creating a new story as well. Because it brings together two different aspects of the dance and the celebration, the Harvest Festival. So it's almost like everybody's dancing because of the festival of life, really, the dance of life and the joy of life, because, hey, we survive another season because we've got, you know, the wheat in and, you know, the rice in and stuff like that, you know.
The great thing about digital photography, of course, is that they can see the image on the spot, and you know, that really persuades a lot of people that, you know, you're doing it in a very professional way, in a very dignified manner. You're not trying to pull the person down. You're trying to create something of worth that tells a story about them in that single photo. In this project, Desi Pubs, we wanted what we call, you know, stoic images. They're almost like looking at a sculpture of that person. Who is that person? What can I tell truthfully as possible? And in the light I've got, in the space that I've got, that's a big challenge as well. You know, it's very rarely magic really happens in a portrait. And that's what you're always aiming to get. He didn't tell me straight away, but at the end he told me I'm an award-winning chef. So the image I finally choose of him is where he's looking really proud. He just cooked some food, he's put it on a tray, and he's in his environment in the kitchen, standing stout. You know, he's very proud of what he's just created, and I think that was the shot that I chose.
The tradition of a pub sign artist goes back a very long way. It started out in the days when most of the drinking public, if you like, were illiterate and they couldn't read names painted onto pubs, so they had illustrated pub signs, so that they knew when they'd found the red cow or the red lion or whatever, there would be a painting. So then, taking Hardeep's designs and staying very true to those, then the key to sort of tying the two cultures together, if you like, the British pub culture and the Punjabi culture, was to bring elements of traditional sign writing, which is really my forte, the way that traditional lettering would look, the banner device for mottos or for names. And the general sort of layout and the way the signs are put together is very much that of an English pub sign. They're made out of a good quality plywood core, which is pretty much the traditional materials. In the very early days, of course, signs would have been made of just wooden boards that were side jointed, and possibly with a frame around. These days, it's a plywood core, exterior ply. It's got softwood frame around it, brought up with standard exterior paints, like you would paint your house with, at least 6 on these particular signs, probably about 9 coats of paint to start with, just to get it up to the base colour. And then on top of that, the design is painted in signwriters enamels, which are particularly good, very high density pigment. They're easy to blend in exactly the same way as oil colours. My take on that blending of the two styles is very much the story of the blending of the two cultures. And the way that whole sort of Punjabi culture has assimilated into British life and become not just something that runs alongside of it, but an integral part of it, in the same way that the pub sign ties together English tradition and Punjabi tradition, and that to me, that was the feeling that I had that the whole project was about.
A lot of my work is based on research. Because I work in visual images, which is what photography is. People are bombarded by images, and they interact with images from previous images. So I try and do something slightly different. In this pub, one of the earliest photographs I found was of the landlord in 1889. And it's quite a formal portrait, and I've tried to, what I've done here is mostly do formal portraits, you know, bring a black background along, and you know, try and do a nice portrait as a sort of a. There's quite a lot of pictures of working class people looking really rough, so this is a sort of a reaction to that in a way.
I think over the last 40, 50 years, a lot of the old leaded windows and stained glass windows have been ripped out of pubs, and they've just had plastic windows put in, or, you know, for maintenance reasons and stuff. And for me, it was really good to approach this project and try and make a traditional leaded light window, but that's got a twist on your normal leaded light window. And on closer inspection, you actually find out a little bit more about the pub. We're painting 4 roundels on the window, and these roundels tell us about the sort of the story of the early migrants to the Black Country area, but it's not one person's story, but you know, it's more or less about the young men that sort of came over in the 50s and 60s. Cutting the glass, painting the glass, silver staining the glass, which can give you a yellow on a coloured glass or a tinted glass, staining, painting the glass, different shading techniques, and then we'd go on to leading up the glass, soldering the glass together, and then it has to be cemented before it's ready to fit in the window. A lot of the glass in the windows is reclaimed glass, because a lot of these textures, like reeded glass, small Flemish, like old sort of stipple. Also the handmade glass, like the Hartley Woods and stuff, you can't get any of these glasses anymore, and it really gives it that unique look that it's been there for like 100 years.
And I was thinking, yeah, because it's difficult. It's difficult to find those threads of someone's identity and their appearance through just a few lines. You know, you need a little bit of luck on your side in those circumstances. Certain little things, quirky things, even a person's gait, the way they relax in a chair, can speak volumes about who they appear to be to everyone else. So there's a 2-stage thing to it, the acrylic underpainting, and then the oil goes on top, and with the oil, most of it is transparent or translucent, so that initial underpainting in the acrylic is shining through it. Sometimes when you hang a painting, it needs to have enough eyes cast upon it for you to have any assessment really of how good it is. You know, I'll try and do my best and just hope that all the rest falls into place.